in history. First of all, Mike Johnson, the Christian nationalist, neo-fascist, right-wing Speaker of the House of Representatives, says that, well, here's the exact quote. He says, "I think that justices on the court, I know many of them personally, I think they are deeply concerned about that as we are. So I think they will set this straight, but it's going to take a little while." So apparently Johnson has had a conversation with some members of the Supreme Court, and they're saying, "Don't worry, Donald Trump will never serve a day in jail," or words to that effect. Who knows? But he says, they're going to fix this. What do 34 felony counts mean? Well, in terms of politics, let's talk about politics first. In terms of politics, there's a new Marist poll out that was conducted for NPR and PBS. 67% of voters said a conviction would have no impact on their vote. A third said it would affect their vote. 17% said that they would be less likely to vote for Trump. 15% said they would be more likely to vote for Trump. So it's pretty much a wash. Democrats are 20 points less likely to vote for Trump. Republicans and independents combined are 19 points more likely to vote for Trump. This is, kind of getting into the tabs, getting into the details of this. Among college graduates, voters are 7 points less likely to vote for Trump. But among voters who aren't college graduates, they're 3% more likely to vote for Trump. Along gender lines, men are 2 points more likely to vote for Trump, but women are 5 points less likely. These all provide 1 or 2 or 3 points of benefit to Joe Biden. Biden also came out ahead with Gen Z and millennials and baby boomers, between 3 and 8 points less likely to vote for Trump. But among Gen Xers and the silent generation and the greatest generation, Trump gained 2 points. The voters in the South say they're 2 points more likely to vote for Trump. White evangelicals say that they're 13 points more likely to vote for the man who was just convicted of paying off a porn star for sex. Let that sink in. Everybody thought, oh yeah, the Bible thumpers, this will cause them to abandon Trump. Apparently not. Also, now getting into the legal side of this, and this is fascinating stuff. Donald Trump, the oral arguments will likely be heard first by a mid-level appeals court, right? There's 2 levels of appeals courts in New York State. And the first level, the court that Donald Trump will have to go to appeal this thing. Now, he could conceivably appeal it, jump over it and go over their heads and appeal to a higher court, maybe even to the U.S. Supreme Court, but that's unlikely. I mean, typically you have to work your way up through. And that first court, just in February of this year, became the first appeals court in the country and the first time in New York history. It's got 5 justices on it, 5 judges, that all 5 judges are black women. So Donald Trump's appeal, in all probability, will be first heard by 5 black women on the court. Tell me that that's not just a delicious irony. Now, I'm assuming that they will just, they'll do what the law says. But you can just imagine the guy who opened his career in real estate by refusing to rent properties to black people, having his fate in the hands of 5 black women, and who has been convicted of rape or found liable for rape, I guess is the legal term. But he's a rapist. A funny little meme that's floating around the internet right now. It's Snoopy with his typewriter, sitting on top of his doghouse, and you see the typewritten text above him. And after all the dust settled, they suddenly realized America had been saved by a porn star. The end. Yes, indeed. I think it's also interesting to note that Donald Trump will maybe lose his liquor license at Mar-a-Lago if he doesn't, maybe he'll just transfer the property. In all probability, he'll transfer the property to his wife or his sons. Probably his sons. I don't think he's even speaking with his wife anymore. She certainly has not shown up for anything here. But this is fascinating. A caller to or a listener to the program sent me a note. I don't know if he wants his name said on the air, so I won't. But thank you. And he said, it's very likely Trump could lose any liquor license he has for Mar-a-Lago. A convicted felon cannot own a liquor license in the state of Florida. This prohibition includes officers of a corporation. And here's the actual law. No license under the beverage law shall be issued to any person who's been convicted within the last 5 years of any offense against the beverage laws of the state, the United States, or any other state who has been convicted within the past 5 years in this state or any other state of the United States of soliciting for prostitution, pandering, letting premises for prostitution, or keeping a disorderly place, or of any criminal violation of Chapter 893 of the Controlled Substances Act or any other state or federal government, or who has been convicted in the past 15 years of any felony in this state or any other state of the United States. Or to a corporation, any of the officers of which shall have been so convicted. The term conviction shall include an adjudication of guilt upon a plea of guilty or nolo contendere or the forfeiture of bond when charged with a crime. So that's interesting. The other thing is that Donald Trump is next going to have to go before the probation board, essentially. He's going to have to meet in a dingy little room in that same building and have his blood drawn for a blood test. For a drug test. Maybe it'll just be urine, I'm not sure, but he's going to have to do a drug test. He's going to be told the conditions of his release as of this moment. They're going to ask him questions about his behavior, about his moral character. They're going to take into consideration other crimes he might have committed, all these kind of things. And then on top of that, the sentencing is scheduled for July 11th. He was guilty on 34 counts. I believe this happened while we were on the air. No, it wasn't when we were on the air yesterday. It was afterwards. That's right. So you didn't hear it from me yesterday, but he was, in fact, I was on Michelangelo Signorelli's show when that happened. Anyhow, he's been convicted of 34 felonies, misdemeanors amped up to felonies. And what he was convicted of, essentially, and again, the media is not using this language, and they damn well should. And frankly, I think we all need to launch a huge campaign to demand that the media use this language. He was convicted of stealing the 2016 election from Hillary Clinton and the American people by deceiving us about his true character. That's what he was convicted of. I mean, that was the thing that made all those misdemeanors into felonies, was that it had to do with an election. So yesterday I talked about the difference between a cult and a movement, and I want to get into that on the other side of this break, and then I'll be picking up your calls because it's, after all, it's Anything Goes Friday. It's you and me all day, and a lot to talk about. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
It's the True People's Media, the Thom Hartmann Program. I'll be back with more of the news of the day and your calls in just a moment.